food prices rise and fears about sustainability increase, issues around what we eat are everywhere. But the answer to these problems may already be at our fingertips. The growing movement of producing and preserving one's own food could provide an old-fashioned answer to a looming problem. Joel MacCharles is the founder of WellPreserved.ca. So Joel, I'm surprised you have time to be here. It's the season that you should be canning tomatoes and peaches and all those sorts of things, isn't it?
One of the fascinating things that I found as I get more into preserving, it's actually a 12-month thing.
Oh.
So we do, certainly it's a busy time of year, but it's something that we do year-round as well.
Right, like ice. You preserve ice in the spring or something like that. Now, here's the number that struck me. 600 jars of preserves in your downtown Toronto home. At the end of the world, can I come to your house? Is that an option for me?
There is a whole movement of preppers that are preparing for the end of the world.
But you're not one of them.
Well, the number one rule is you don't tell anybody that you have the jars so that people don't show up.
It's too late.
Right.
So do you have, like, marmalade in amongst your shoes?
When we first started years ago, we had a horrible setup where everything was in boxes, and you had to unstack the boxes to find the individual jar that you were looking for. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Now, what is it that has convinced you that you need to be a spokesperson for the joys of preserving and...
I don't know if there's anything that's convinced me, I guess I'm a spokesman. It's a weird default where I guess we've kind of ended up. I'm very passionate about what we do and very passionate about sharing that, and very inspired by a lot of farmers and people doing very similar things. That there's an entire community of people doing this. I think it's pretty exciting.
Resolve the paradox for me. You were a vegetarian, you are now a hunter. You preserve meat. How did that all come together?
I think vegetarians and hunters are really closely related. Ultimately, we both take a lot of time and thought about what's on the plate and recognizing what the meat is. We just make a very different decision. When we write about hunting on our site, we actually lose about 25% of our followers, but I really do believe that we lose very few, if any, vegetarians.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was wanting to ask you about that because you said when you first wrote about meat, you lost 50% of your readers. It didn't scare you off?
No, because it's something I've grown up with, and it's something that I'm very comfortable with, and I'm very comfortable with us being uncomfortable about meat. It's a tough topic. It's tough to imagine the stuff that we buy at the grocery store or that we hunt for was once a living, breathing animal, and it's a difficult decision to come to terms with killing that or eating that without thinking about that is even tougher for me to imagine.
Thinking about preserving vegetables, tomatoes, whatever, peaches, whatever it is, what's the economic argument? It seems like an enormous amount of work. It would taste great, and you'd have a little bit of Martha Stewart mojo.
Sure.
But is it cheaper?
Sure. In most cases it is. So to give you an example, a red pepper in the winter would be worth $3 or $4 per pound. At this time of year, you can buy a bushel of red peppers for less than $1 per pound. Very easy, doesn't take a lot of time. You can simply barbecue it, remove the skins and the seeds, and freeze it in baggies. See, freezing is a form of preserving that we often don't think that we use, but anybody that uses a fridge or a freezer preserves.
Yeah, no, my in-laws do everything. They do corn on the cob, and the green beans, and every fall my mother-in-law comes and does the tomatoes for me.
Awesome.
Because it is an awful lot of work. And you say that strawberry jam is the gateway drug. Is that right? How did that happen?
It was an accident of happenstance. I bought too many strawberries, and I wanted to learn, and I was probably trying to impress my girlfriend or partner at the time. And I went to my parents' house and was shocked by how easy it was. But to the word of tomatoes and how difficult it is, I think there's a bit of an illusion there as well. Things look difficult that we don't do. And I think that's the case of many things. We just preserved 120 jars of tomato sauce. There were 4 of us involved in that, and it took us less than 10 hours each. So for $1 a jar, or $1 a liter of tomato sauce, we worked less than 10 hours, most of that drinking beer and wine and enjoying each other's company. And from that, we'll have produced roughly 60 dinners for each of our 2 families.
Wow. Briefly, what is the biggest innovation in preserving in the last 10 or 20 years? How has it changed from when my grandmother would have done it on a farm near Fergus?
Sure. The safety standards have changed a lot, and what's recognized now as safe versus what wasn't changed a lot in the mid-'80s. Beyond that, I think that's not so much changing as much as going back. 3 or 4 years ago, jam was really big and pickles were really big, and now fermenting is becoming a lot more popular with a lot of people.
And what about the kit, like to get all the equipment you need to do this stuff?
The vast majority of the preserving that we do includes jars, a big pot, water, and lids. Not really a lot of equipment.
All right. Well, Bruce will be trying it.
I will. Right to that.
You go for that, Bruce. All right. Thanks for being here.
Thank you kindly.